Here are the 5 times Barcelona FC caused their own demise. Barcelona, one of the greatest football clubs on earth. Their history, their fans, their players, their style of play. Just the name of Barcelona means so much more to fans around the world. But Barcelona are not without their faults, and you'd be surprised to know Barcelona have shot themselves in the foot more times than any other big club. Barcelona are always putting themselves in turmoil through their own wrongdoings, and this list will show how many times Barcelona had created for themselves a beautiful success, but this beauty always somehow turns into the ugly because of Barcelona. So here's a list of the 5 times Barcelona caused their own downfall through power struggle, politics, bad recruitment, drama, money issues, and just all-around stupid decision making. Coming at number 5, it is the sale of Diego Maradona. Barcelona signed a 22-year-old Diego Maradona for a world record fee of £5 million back in 1982. Many clubs had wanted him, but Barcelona were able to pull it off. Maradona was brilliant for Barcelona, but he would only spend 2 seasons there before he was sold off to Napoli. So why did Barcelona choose to sell their best young player in the world? And this is a constant theme that'll come up more in this video. It's that Maradona had a terrible relationship with the Barcelona president, and he didn't like Maradona for his bad boy reputation and associations with drugs, even though a young Maradona constantly denied it. But the president said this is not how Barcelona want to represent themselves. So the president makes a stupid mistake of selling one of the greatest players of all time to Napoli at the age of 24. Maradona would go on to win the World Cup 2 years later as a Napoli player. Imagine how different things would have been had Maradona achieved greatness at Barcelona. Coming in at number 4, it is the sacking of Johan Cruyff in 1996. Johan Cruyff revolutionized Barcelona twice. First as a player, where he helped them win the first La Liga title in 14 years. He then returned as a manager and created the dream team that won 4 La Liga titles in a row and their first ever European Cup. He set into place what Barcelona's philosophy and identity is and will be for the rest of the time. But once again, Barcelona fired their most successful coach after a few bad seasons. Cruyff had to constantly butt heads with the Barcelona president and their directors, and this is the same president that sold Maradona 10 years earlier. It was an ugly end to a glorious period, and to make things worse, Johan Cruyff had agreed to sign a young Zinedine Zidane from Bordeaux, but angered for being sacked, he called Zidane and told him not to go to Barcelona. Zidane instead goes to sign for Juventus and goes on to have a glorious career. Imagine what Cruyff could have done had he had Zidane in his team. At number 3 on my list is the sale of the Brazilian Ronaldo. So it's once again a similar story to Maradona. Barcelona being the great football club that they are, and they attract the best talents. In 1996, they signed a 20-year-old Ronaldo from PSV Eindhoven for a world record fee of £17 million. Ronaldo had just had a sensational season at PSV, scoring 42 goals in 47 games. Ronaldo carries this form on to his debut season at Barcelona, where he scores an outstanding 47 goals in 49 games. It was amazing to watch. Everyone had agreed Ronaldo is the next best thing, the next best player since Pelé. But once again, contract disputes between Ronaldo and the president of Barcelona meant that him and his agent looked to leave Barcelona, and he signs for Inter Milan. Barcelona once again lost the best player in the world, and imagine how different things could have been had Ronaldo stayed at Barcelona. Coming in at number 2, it is the purchase of Philippe Coutinho, Ousmane Dembele and Antoine Griezmann. All 3 of these players were signed within a 2-year period from 2017 to 2019, and Barcelona spent a combined total of £360 million on just those 3 players alone. And it is the epitome of panic buying, because it's fair to say all 3 of these players absolutely flopped, and it left Barcelona in such a dire situation financially, and Barcelona even to this present day have yet to recover from those 3 spendings. And these spendings just never made sense from the start. Ousmane Dembele had 2 good seasons, but he was such a raw talent of a player, and they spent £120 million on him. Philippe Coutinho was good, but he was nowhere near worth £140 million. They were just trying so hard to replace Neymar, and they just panicked buy to sign Coutinho. And for Antoine Griezmann, he's a great player and he was worth £100 million, but Barcelona literally has the only player that's better than Griezmann in his own position. So signing Griezmann just didn't make sense, as Messi always occupied that position. So these 3 players cost over £360 million, and all 3 combined couldn't score more than 100 goals in the seasons that they were at the club. And now that all 3 have left the club, Barcelona didn't recoup any of their money, and they are still picking up the pieces. Finally, coming in at number 1, it is the biggest mess Barcelona has caused for themselves, and that is forcing the greatest player ever, Lionel Messi, to leave their club. Now this moment beautifully summarizes this whole video. The whole point of this video is that Barcelona always create their own successes, they create the beauty, but it is only Barcelona that destroy it. It's always them and their wrongdoings that causes their demise. Now Messi signs for Barcelona at the age of 13. He has 17 glorious years of football. They win everything. Messi becomes a GOAT. Barcelona plays the greatest type of football we've ever seen. And now Messi is 34 years old. He's near the end, but he's still a great player, arguably the best player still in the world, and he wants to retire at Barcelona. The fans want to see Messi retire at Barcelona, but Barcelona's mismanagement of finances, as always, means that they can't afford to sign Messi, and they force him to leave. Messi leaves in tears. He's crying literally, and Barcelona say they can't afford to keep him. Fans around the world and at Barcelona are devastated. This was not how it was meant to end for Lionel Messi. Now for me, Barcelona should have done everything they could to keep Messi at the club, regardless of how much he would have cost. But through Barcelona's arrogance, they wanted to rebuild without Lionel Messi, and they thought Messi was holding them back, Messi's wages, and they acted like they didn't have the money. But they did have the money, because after that, they spent £50 million on Ferran Torres and £40 million on Rafinha. Surely they could have just saved that money and kept Messi. But anyways, Messi goes to PSG. He's forced to go to PSG, and he has an unsuccessful period there. To make things worse, Lionel Messi wins the World Cup, the one trophy that he had never won. He wins the World Cup the following year. So he wins the World Cup as a PSG player. The fairy tale should have been Lionel Messi to win the World Cup, and he brings the trophy back to the Camp Nou and he celebrates it with the club in a Barcelona jersey, and the fans get to cheer him. But that was never meant to be, and Messi instead got a round of applause and PSG. So that's it for the video. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe if you enjoyed the content.